My very special guest today is John Townsend. Hello, John.
Hello, Doug.
How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, very good.
A long time since I've seen you.
About an hour.
About an hour. So, John, you and I have worked together now 12 years.
We have, yeah.
Feels a lot longer.
Today it does.
Today it does. And yeah, we met at a top city law firm when I came, and you were already there a year or two before me.
Yeah, I think so. So about 2011, something like that.
Yeah, I was end of 2012.
Yeah.
And so we worked there for a couple of years.
We
Very
did.
busy, prime central London stuff.
Yeah, good fun.
Good fun.
But busy.
Crazy.
But busy.
Busy. And we'll come on to it in a bit, but we met a few of the people who are now still in our team there as well.
This is true.
It's true.
Can't get enough of us.
They can't get enough of us. And let's give our little history. So we then did a couple of years there, and then you had an idea, and we jumped ship.
We did indeed, yeah.
And what did we do?
So I suppose probably a bit of backstory before that was I trained as a lawyer at Lester Aldridge.
Correct.
And so that was late 90s. And yesterday, actually, there was some clearing out of some old paperwork that found some horrific school-esque photos of me, which I am trying to shred, but they're sort of making their way around the department at the moment, which is a bit disappointing, but nevertheless. So that was late 90s.
Yes.
And then we, as you say, I left to move up to London in 2011. So I started at Lester Aldridge as a paralegal, doing dictation and filing and very basic tasks to start with for my boss.
And that was in the property team?
That was in the
straight
property
away?
team, straight away, residential property straight away. I think he only hired me because he thought I could play cricket, and Lester Aldridge had a cricket team at the time.
And could you?
I could play cricket, yeah.
Okay, good.
I could. Not anymore, but I could. And so, yeah, and then moved my way from paralegal, qualified as solicitor, did my training contract at Lester Aldridge, and then moved through the ranks and eventually became partner and head of the residential property team. Then moved up to London. Met a girl, moved to London. You know the story.
And that was around 2011?
2011, and that's when I joined the firm we met at.
And so then my story up to that point is a little bit similar because I started at a provincial firm up north.
Okay.
And I worked
Regional
firm. Thank you. And I worked through the ranks, also from paralegal.
Yep.
In litigation team, first of all, for me.
Okay.
And then training contract, went through all the training seats, didn't get offered any job in any of the seats.
I have no comment to make about that.
And then final seat in property, got offered a job, but that was development acquisition work that I did with a little bit of resi on the side.
Yeah.
Worked my way
You were
through the
dabbling
ranks.
at that point?
I dabbled a little bit in residential property. Some will still say that's the same.
Again, no comment.
Thank you. And then I got to senior associate and head of residential in my firm up north. Didn't quite get the esteemed levels of partnership there.
No.
And then decided to leave and travel around the world on my own for a year.
Okay.
Having a midlife crisis.
I remember.
Yes. And
you were going to be an author, weren't you?
Sorry?
You were going to be an author, weren't you?
I was going to be an author. I was going to be various things, a photographer, an author.
Yep.
And then came home and became a lawyer again.
Quite right.
Yes. But made the change, moved to London.
Turns out I'm not such a good writer.
Came back, moved to London, got a job in residential property in the firm that I met you at. Started, met lots of people, and then eventually, maybe about 2 weeks of being there, I felt like I was asking you out on a date, and I asked you to go for a beer.
This is true. And I said no, I think.
You said no. and then we worked there, and then we took the leap because we had an idea, or you had an idea, and I helped develop it to set up on our own law firm.
We did. And
Which
what a
was
great
fun.
idea it was.
Yeah, but what would you say? I mean, obviously it led to where we are now, but whilst it was stressful, we had a lot of challenges there in terms of running a law firm. But we learned a lot, didn't we?
Yeah, a huge amount. And I think I suppose that the trigger for us doing it is because I think both of us really value culture. And whilst a city law firm has a great quality of work, sometimes the culture there doesn't reflect who and what we are. Would that be true?
I think so.
And therefore, we wanted the opportunity to build our own culture, which I think we did reasonably successfully. I think the fact that many of the people who joined our law firm and many of the people that we worked with at Lester, at the other law firm,
Yes,
have since followed us.
Yeah. So in the firm we set up in Orange, which we did for 3 years.
Yeah.
Very successful, and we slowly built our team up from people we knew from before.
Not that slowly.
Not that slowly, I suppose. Yeah. Katie came within 3 weeks.
She did.
And then Aileen.
Yeah.
Andrew. Yeah. And then we had a few different paralegals join us that then came through the ranks.
Yep.
Taryn, who is now a senior associate in our team.
Yeah.
And then we moved back to Lester Aldridge, which was the return to Lester Aldridge. And there's a few Lester Aldridge people across the firm that are
Lester Aldridge boomerangs. Lester Aldridge boomerangs. So yeah, I think the culture drags us back, I guess. And I think having realised that the city culture wasn't necessarily for me or for you or for others, as it turns out, I think what it did teach me was that actually Lester Aldridge was part of the culture that I wanted to recreate. And I think, therefore, when we rejoined Lester Aldridge, there was an easy transition because I think there was a cultural fit. And I think that was a really important reason why us coming back was tempting to me, tempting to you, and I think has gone really well in terms of our integration back.
Yeah, 100%. And here we are at time of recording, in about a few days, 5 years.
You're very good at anniversaries. I remember.
I'm really good at
I don't remember
anniversaries.
birthdays, anniversaries. That's my wife, but I think
5 years.
5 years. Yeah,
and
the best 5 years of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We brought 8 people with us in our property team, and one of them has left to move on to an amazing job since, but the rest of us are all still here, which is a nice...
I texted her yesterday to try and bring her back, by the way.
There we go.
It's only a matter of time.
She will know who it is.
Before she comes crawling back.
No names mentioned.
No.
But it's a nice feeling when we have a team that has been with us through 2 or 3 law firms and followed and come with us.
I think it's testament to us, but I also think it's actually testament to Lester Aldridge.
Yes, exactly. And so then our journey at Lester Aldridge started for me, restarted for you.
For me.
And we'd had a couple of tough years in the first one because of COVID, lockdown, etc. But during that, then it's helped us grow, especially you. So your new title, which isn't so new, but you are head of Private Wealth Group.
This is true.
And so tell me a bit about, I already know, but let's talk about Private Wealth Group.
So the idea behind it, so the firm's sort of split into 4 groups, various groups, 5 groups, I don't know. So the firm split into groups, and the reason behind that is because we're looking constantly for the ability to service clients in the best possible way, and for there to be synergies between the various teams. And so the idea behind private wealth, and a lot of other law firms do it, is to make sure that you're fully servicing the private client in terms of their individual legal needs. So that could be buying and selling a house, that could be dealing with a power of attorney for an elderly relative, that could be looking after a estate for a deceased relative, that could be doing a prenup if you're about to get married, or not quite prenups if you're not about to get married, but so that's the idea behind it. So it's making sure that there's a seamless level of service between those various different departments, and to make sure that we are making the best of the opportunities for people's private client needs. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've been key at doing that across both of our
it's
offices.
very kind, but I'm not sure that's true. I think it's others rather than me. But
it's a
anyway,
team. It's a
team effort.
But
correct.
Since we've been in the London office, the private wealth in London has grown. Also, private wealth in the other two offices has grown as well. But like we had a focus on London, and that's happened now, and we have different teams here in our London office.
This is true. So we've now got representation from 4 of the teams. So as I say, that's residential property, that's family team, that's private client, and that's international private client. So there's now representations from all those teams in London, and they're growing. So it's a very exciting time for us.
And you personally, you go up and down between the 2 offices. So you're
I
down
do.
in Bournemouth
I was
every week?
every week, so
Yeah.
a couple of days a week I'm down in the South Coast, which is fantastic for me. Good to see the folks down there. We act for some amazing clients, and there's some amazing, personally for property-wise, there's some amazing properties, of course, Sandbanks, all the really sort of millionaires row down there, which is a great place to ply our trade.
Yeah. And
And I was running on the beach this morning.
were you?
I was running on the beach this
Again,
morning. Slowly.
two mornings in a row.
I know, very slowly this morning.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And then back to us and our residential property team here and the growth of what we've done across both offices. You know, we've picked up on different kind of areas that we could think that we can excel at, and some of them we quite enjoy doing, which I suppose is like one of the best ones is like we work in our own areas, don't we? As in like where we live.
Absolutely. So I think it's really good to know not just the law but also the market. So whilst we don't really get too stuck into values and whether you should be buying it or not, I think one of the reasons both of us like resi property is because we like to look at people's houses. We're quite nosy, and I think we quite sort of, we're secretly looking on Rightmove, seeing what's on the market, what's not on the market. But for the client side of things, we actually understand the areas that we work in. We've got a deep knowledge of that, and that actually helps in terms of getting deals over the line, which what we're here for to do, really.
Yeah, and even in that lockdown period when we started doing kind of doorstop ID checks.
Doorstop ID, yeah.
And then we've carried on in a way, kind of going out to visit clients locally.
People holding their passports up at your window at
Yeah.
10:30 at night. Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife was delighted when that was happening. Yeah. There's another passport being held up at the door, John.
But it was quite fun to do, and because actually it didn't really slow down in that time period for us when they thought it would do.
No, it was a really busy year. I think it's sort of well known in the residential property world as a really, really challenging 12 months. Yeah.
And then let's look to the future.
Okay.
So we're about to start our new financial year.
We are.
What do we think might be challenges ahead for us in our resi team? Because it's getting busier again, yeah?
It feels the market's definitely moving. I mean, interest rates are always the thing. So a lot of our work is paid for by people taking out mortgages. So whilst sort of movement in rates is important, stability is the thing, I think, for us. So if people feel comfortable that the market is going to be moving in the right direction, then people feel confident to go and commit to a huge acquisition for them or a disposal at the right time. And we feel like we've got a bit of stability at the moment. Long may that last. Obviously, we speak to agents and mortgage brokers and other professionals in the market regularly, and they seem to be saying the same sort of thing. So hopefully some good times ahead and a busy summer for us all.
Yeah, and for us in both of our offices with Resi Prop, we're currently growing. So we've just had a new starter in Bournemouth office, and a new solicitor starting with us in London
next week.
Next week on Tuesday, I think it is. Yeah, so we're constantly looking at growing where we can, and just know that the demands we need to grow, don't we, a little bit? That's what we've put in place.
Yeah, and we kind of trying to grow in a few different ways. So we try and get experienced lawyers to come in so that we can really trust them to get on with it and do the job on their own, but also bring some more junior members in and train them up and hopefully immerse them in the LA culture and hopefully have a long and successful career with us and look after their clients.
Yeah, good stuff. Right, we're going to change now.
We're
going to change tact.
Okay.
Less about us in our LA team role and a bit of property particulars, because I've been asking.
What's property particulars?
Your personal property particulars.
Mind your own business.
Have you sold and bought properties before? But actually, what the interesting thing is about both of us sitting here now is that we have been each other's client.
Yeah.
How did that go?
So I do remember. So I do remember that you said to me that I was a terrible client when you'd bought my house for me. I think we had like 2 or 3 transactions that didn't go ahead. I can't remember the reasons why. But
I can.
Can you? Well, let's not go into the
Yes,
detail of that,
yeah.
shall we? But we had some difficult transactions. Maybe that was just because of my either me being a difficult client, or my wife being a difficult client, probably me. But you did an excellent job of buying my house eventually, or maybe you had a bad lawyer. Maybe that's why it went wrong.
It's
But
quite fun buying property for your mates, I think.
yeah.
So you
well,
don't
I
like
bought
it as
your
much.
house, and I didn't.
You
I
bought
didn't.
mine.
And you had a few.
There was
wrinkles. On your
there
whole
was a
flat,
lease
you know?
extension happening simultaneous with my purchase.
There was.
And I think I remember being.
You were hugely stressed.
I
remember.
was stressed because I needed it
You
to
were hugely
happen.
stressed.
Time goes back to the thing that all our clients said the same thing. Timeline is important, isn't it?
Timeline's important, but also the ability for you just to walk into the next office, knock on the door, and ask me why we hadn't exchanged yet every 20 minutes for about 3 days. That was relaxing.
Yeah, I think it brought us closer together as
you think?
friends. Yeah, well, we're still working together. It's
true.
That was like 2 law firms ago.
Yeah, I try not. There's a lot of counselling. I try not to think about it too much, but yeah, you were a very difficult client.
Okay, we're going to one last question,
Go on.
which I've been
Itching to tell me.
itching to ask. Fantasy dream property. No, money is no object. Where would you buy? Location wise, style of house, country. What would
So
it be?
I think I'd still want to buy in London. I still think London's an incredible place to work. I think it's an incredible place to live. I'm a West London boy now, so Notting Hill, somewhere around there. There's a few squares that I've really got my eye on. A private garden, that would be nice. So nothing in particular, but I think a garden square would be a bit of a bucket list thing.
See, then I'm quite similar. Like we're so dull, aren't we? Like I would like to, but I want the townhouse in Islington.
Or a canal house in Amsterdam. There you go.
Oh,
There you go. That's a different one.
okay. I'll have the townhouse in Islington plus a villa in Ibiza. You can have the canal house in Amsterdam and the West London property, and then we're sorted then, aren't we?
And I think I'd like to buy my first house back as well. So that was in Bournemouth.
Oh, that was Bournemouth.
That was Bournemouth. So I'd quite like to, but I still have really fond memories of that. I think remember the first time you walk into a house, and I don't think you'll ever beat that feeling when you buy and sell property. Do you?
Yeah. So the first one I bought up north in Newcastle.
I sold that one for you as well, didn't I?
You did sell that one for me.
Yeah,
as
that was
well.
also a nightmare, as I remember. You're such a difficult client. I don't ever need to move. In fact, my dream property is you never move again. There you go.
Yeah, but when you walk in, that is quite special.
Quite special. House number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually,
It's like your first car almost, eh?
I think
It's always a bit special.
yeah. John, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Property Particulars.
You're more than welcome.
Join us again for another episode of Lester Aldridge Property Particulars, and please do also check us out on our Spotify channel, Lester Aldridge Podcasts, and our social media, our Instagram, which is @Lester Aldridge Property.